Hi boys and girls, welcome to this week's Sunday School video. August the 9th, 2020. Do you know what time is it, boys and girls? It's worship time, yay!
Jesus loves me, this I know, for the Bible tells me so. Little ones to him belong, they are weak but he is strong. Yes, Jesus loves me, yes, Jesus loves me, yes, Jesus loves me, the Bible tells me so. Jesus loves me, he who died, heaven's gate to open wide. He will wash away my sin, let his little child come in. Yes, Jesus loves me, yes, Jesus loves me, yes, Jesus loves me, the Bible tells me so. Jesus loves me, he will stay close beside me all the way. He's prepared a home for me, and someday his face I'll see. Yes, Jesus loves me, yes, Jesus loves me, yes, Jesus loves me, the Bible tells me so.
That was some great praise and worship, boys and girls. God is happy when we worship him, when we sing to him, clap our hands, and stomp our feet, move around, giving him all the praise. Now, let's recap our last lesson. Last week's lesson. Hannah prayed for a son. Do you remember the story, boys and girls? Okay, let's recap our quiz questions. Anna loved God and loved her husband, but had no children to love. Did this make Hannah happy or sad? Sad. I'm sure you got that one right. Where did Hannah go to pray to God for a boy child? At the tabernacle. Great job. God answered Anna's prayer and gave her a son. What was his name? Samuel. Good job, boys and girls. Anna made a vow to give Samuel back to God. True or false? That's true. Next, what was the name of the priest who saw Anna in the tabernacle? Priest Eli. Great job, boys and girls. Now, how was your last activity? Did you find all the words? Baby, Eli, Elkanah, Hannah, Peniah, prayer, sad, Samuel, son, tabernacle, vow, wept. Awesome! We found all 12 words. Great job, boys and girls. Now for this week's lesson. It's story time! Yay! Samuel listens to God. Would you like to hear more about Hannah's son, Samuel? Okay, great. This story is about Samuel listens to God. Get yourselves comfortable. Do you remember our Bible lesson about Anna, boys and girls? Anna promised that if God gave her a son, she will give him back to serve God all the days of his life. God answered Anna's prayer, boys and girls. She and her husband had a son. They named the boy Samuel. How happy they were that God had given them this wonderful gift. When Samuel was a little boy like you, boys and girls, Anna took him to the tabernacle where the people went to worship God. The high priest, Eli, was God's special servant there. Samuel's parents told Eli that Samuel would stay there with him and learn to serve God. Samuel would serve God all his life. Anna did not forget about Samuel, even though he now lived in God's temple. Every year, Anna made Samuel a special coat to give to him when she went to worship God at the tabernacle. Eli probably was very glad to have Samuel's help. Samuel began serving God right away. When he ran an errand for Eli, Samuel was serving God. When Samuel cleaned the tabernacle, he was serving God. All these things, boys and girls, pleases God, boys and girls. But when Samuel did not really know God, he did not have a Bible like we do to teach him about God. In those days, boys and girls, God spoke to people in voices they could hear. God did not speak with many people. Most people did not really listen to God. How sad that was, boys and girls. Eli had grown very old. He could no longer see very well. Samuel probably had to help him do many things that Eli once could do for himself. One night, Eli and Samuel had gone in their beds. Both of them probably were sound asleep because it was very late. The lampstand in the tabernacle had enough oil in it to make it burn until morning, and the flames were still burning, making shadow dance on the walls. Everything was very quiet. So, here comes Samuel. Samuel, a voice called. I'm here, Samuel answered right away. Eli is calling me, Samuel thought. He jumped up from his bed and ran to Eli. Here I am, he said to Eli, the priest, boys and girls. You called me? Eli woke up. He did not know what Samuel was talking about. I didn't call you, Eli said. Go back to bed. Samuel probably thought, I must have had a dream. Do you dream, boys and girls, when you go to bed at night? Okay. I was sure I heard someone call my name. Samuel went back to bed, boys and girls. Again, he heard a voice called, Samuel, Samuel. Samuel jumped up out of his bed again. He probably thought it has to be Eli calling him. No one else is around. Samuel ran to Eli's room. Here I am, Samuel said. You did call me. No, son, Eli said. I did not call you. Go back to bed. Lie down. Samuel went back to his bed. He could not figure out who was calling him. Once again, he lay down, and before long, he heard the voice call his name again. Samuel got up and went to Eli's room. Here I am, Samuel said. You called me this time, didn't you? Eli had been thinking about what had been happening. Eli knew that he had not called Samuel, but he knew by this time that someone had. Eli knew that God sometimes spoke to people, and Eli guessed that it must have been God who was calling Samuel. Go back and lie down, Eli told Samuel. If you hear the voice again, say, Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening. Samuel went back to his bed. Would the voice call again, boys and girls? Was it really God who had been calling him? Well, let's listen to the story. Samuel lay down and waited. Samuel, Samuel, the voice called. Samuel said, Speak, for your servant is listening. God had a message for Samuel to tell Eli. This was the first message God had for Samuel. But God would speak to Samuel many more times in his life, boys and girls. God made Samuel his special servant for many years. That night, Samuel learned to listen to God and to know God's voice. We can listen to God speak to us, boys and girls. God does not speak out loud to us, but whenever we listen to the Bible, we are listening to what God has said. We should be like Samuel and say, Speak, for your servant is listening. When God tells you something to do, will you do it, boys and girls? Yes, we should always obey God. Obey His words in the Bible is obeying God. That was a great story, boys and girls. Good listening. That was a great story, boys and girls, which leads us to this week's memory verse, which is taken from St. Matthew 22, verse 37. And it says, Jesus said unto him, Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all your heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind. Now it's quiz time. Quiz. First question. Who spoke to Samuel saying, Samuel, Samuel? Next question. What did Eli the priest told Samuel to say? Last question. How did Samuel serve God? I'm sure you got them right. Now for this week's activity, boys and girls. Tell 2 things we can do for God and 2 things we can do for our mother and father. That's it for this week. Until next time, boys and girls. Bye.